Have you ever wanted to express creativity in subversive ways, but you're expected by society to just focus on school, work a normal job, and raise a mundane family?
Or have you ever thought about just rejecting all those expectations? Living a life for yourself?
Ang Lee
Ang
did,
Lee did.
and so do his characters in Crouching Tiger,
Crouching Tiger,
Hidden
Hidden Dragon.
Dragon. Fuck.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Chan, one of your hosts. I'm here with
Atticus Rager, your other host, and we are analyzing Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon by Ang Lee.
Today, we want to analyze the freedom of Ang Lee's film, the sense of being bound by expectations.
Whether from parents or from society.
Just give a quick summary of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon so we're all on the same page. Li Mubai has a sword called Green Destiny that he's killed lots of people with. And he also works alongside Yu Xinyan. Li wants to give up his sword so he can never kill again. So he gives it to his friend, who's a governor. The governor's daughter is named Jen, and she's set to be married in a arranged marriage. She doesn't want to.
She's also had kind of, relations with this barbarian leader named Lo. And she met him during a trip through the desert with her family when he robbed her. But she also loves him. But also she wants to be a fighter and take control of her own destiny. So she ends up training under a master named Jade Fox. Jade Fox is a woman, and she also killed Li Mubai's master with poison. Basically, during Jen's kind of adventure, she kills a couple people in her quest to live freely of any expectations, and she sort of loses herself on the way. She rejects a lot of help that she's given, and I mean, eventually, Li Mubai and Yushi Len fight her. She barely beats Yushi Len. Li Mubai beats her, but then she gets rescued by Jade Fox, but then she gets drugged by Jade Fox. But then Jade Fox ambushes Li Mubai and shoots him full of the same poison that killed his master. So as Li Mubai is dying, he has an epiphany, sort of, near his final moments, that instead of rejecting earthly life because he's a monk, he should instead embrace it, and he decides to spend his last moments with the person that he loves most. At the very end of the movie, Jen ends up meeting back with Lo, but she decides that through all of the decisions she's made, there's no physical path that she can take that will free her from this cycle of being controlled. So she decides to go to the Wuhan temple. She remembers a folk tale that Lo used to tell her about a man who jumped off of a mountain and survived with no bruises, and his greatest wish came true. And she decides that there's no space for her left on Earth, so she takes the leap off of the top of the mountain.
Alright, now that we've gone over the synopsis of the movie pretty much, let's go over some of the characters and like who could be the main character and what do all the characters like do in the movie. So there can be some arguments made for several characters being the main character in the movie. It could be Li Mubai, a skilled Wudang swordsman and monk. It could be Yu Xinyan, Li Mubai's friend and skilled warrior. Or Jen, the daughter of the rich governor, arranged to be a married way. So, Li Mubai and Yu Xinyan are both experienced fighters who secretly have feelings for each other, and they both struggle with their past as fighters and as humans. Li Mubai is unable to reach enlightenment as a Buddhist monk because of his unwillingness to let go of his connection to Earth, his secret love for Yu Xinyan. Yu Xinyan was once engaged to Li Mubai's friend before he had died, and now they both see it like as bad to express their love for one another in order to like honor his memory.
And the final character we can talk about is Jen, who is the daughter of the rich governor. She decides that she wants to escape her constraints set upon society as a woman. We've already talked a little bit about how she was arranged to be married, but so she doesn't want that for herself. But she's also in love with this man, Lo. He's a barbarian, and he wants to whisk her away into the desert. But she realizes that she'll also be under someone's control then. So she decides that she wants to be a fighter, and she practices under Jade Fox, and she kind of struggles with the idea that there's no freedom depending on any path she takes. So any path she takes will lead to more constraints in her eyes. Is pretty much.
All right, now that we've gone through like the synopsis and all the characters in the film, let's go over to the nitty gritty of all like the messages and the themes of what we believe Ang Lee's trying to like tell. So in the film, he convey like the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon conveys a powerful message between the tension of societal expectations and individual desires. Like through its characters, through Jen, Li Mubai, or Yu Xilin, Ang Lee explores the societal norms and traditions, and they often like press personal freedom and true desires. I think the perfect scene, for like the whole climax of the film, basically, is when Jen and Liu Bai have like a fight in the bamboo forest.
Yeah, so the setting of this fight is really perfect to symbolize the beliefs and restraints that are put on both of these characters. The bamboo is flexible and resilient, similar to Jen's pursuit of freedom. She wants to bend the rules to her liking, and she's willing to do anything in order to get what she wants. And, you know, she's stubborn. She'll go through anything to do what she thinks is right. Jen has fluid, graceful movements through the bamboo, but she's also a bit, shaky. She's less stable than Lee, who is much more forceful yet fully controlled. It sort of symbolizes his tradition and his societal expectations as a monk.
Right, and just to like get into like the magical realism of it all, it's like the height of the bamboo canopy. It really just suggests the idea of freedom being like really hard to reach, and like all that's going on, and like you're just so tense because they're all so high up, and like just through all like the magical jumping and everything, it like really just shows the instability of like living inside of societal norms. How hard Jen has fought to get to where she is, but how unstable like the life she's living.
The film itself is not the greatest example of magical realism. It's not the first thing that I would go to when I would try to explain magical realism to someone, because the only real magical thing is if you're kind of a capable enough fighter, you're able to jump really high and like float through trees. And I guess it's sort of representative of this kind of freedom through grit and determination and sometimes stubbornness. And then there's also a second scene, so you want to take that one? Okay.
Yeah, right. So just before the climax, there's a fight scene between Jen and Yu Xilian. And basically, the fight element itself represents social or societal expectations and individual desire. Because like you can fight with all like the materials with her, she fights by all the rules, and Zen is kind of representative of her rebellion through her rebellious energy and the disregard rules, as we mentioned before. She was playing with dirty tricks and everything, and it's just like really representative of the theme in general.
Yeah, she's basically willing to employ any trick in order to win and do what she thinks is best for herself, because she doesn't want to be bound by these kind of rules that people are trying to put in place for her.
Messages about parental like expectations and just like expectations put especially on like kids when they're early in life. I just wanted to point out that that theme like could be a projection of when Ang Lee was trying to find his way in life.
So apparently, as a young man, Ang Lee actually failed his college entrance exams twice, and it's the only way that you can ever get into college. Uh, Instead, he actually enrolled in a Taiwan Academy of Arts as a theater and film major, and so he disappointed his father by not becoming a professor, but he ended up finding his own path in life, even through these kind of stumbles.
Like kind of similar to how he decided to write Jen and her defies and independence.
Yeah, and even to some extent, Li Mubai and Yu, they both are under the expectation of not ever showing their true feelings for one another because they need to honor their friend's memory. And also about Li Mubai, his epiphany at the end of his life is that instead of rejecting his earthly desires and the world, he needs to embrace them as part of him. Just kind of
Right.
similar to what society expects of these men, making their parents proud, basically. And
Yeah.
Lee went against these things, and he still succeeded in life, but he wrote his characters sort of in this similar way as well.
Even though like all this happened in the 70s, we believe like these expectations for students have actually increased since then. This is seeing through college applications and how like kids are having to be better and better through every year just to get into college. And like for getting into a good college nowadays, it's like almost impossible. Like you have to be the best of the best.
You kind of basically have to be borderline perfect, to
Right.
get through these kind of things. You don't have to go down this predetermined path to do well and live your own truth.
Alright, I guess just to wrap up this episode, our final takeaway really is just that, freedom from societal expectations is
It
good.
shouldn't be taken to extremes in a way that it's detrimental to others, such as the case of Jen, because she did break societal expectations, but at the end of the movie, she does end up kind of killing herself, and
That's bad.
she causes Li Mubai's death because of her own selfishness. So a lot of the time, it shouldn't be taken such as Jen's, where it's a detriment to others. The end. Ooh, look at that! Ooh.
You for listening.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Shit. Oh shit.
What?
Okay.
No, what happened?
We're good.
Okay, thanks for listening, guys. A peace out.
Peace out. See you next one.